Yeah, man. Welcome to the Yotas 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 podcast, where we talk about everything Toyota.
See what we can find out about this Japanese truck.
Adventure stories.
Lance got the fucking COVID, so fuck.
No. Yeah, I'm cooking your food with COVID.
Rigs.
I'm accessorizing on the trail. Or some shit came loose, I'm just trying to tighten it.
Anything that has the T on it, we love it.
That's what happens when you buy a big truck. You gotta fucking get in there and keep her happy, you know what I'm saying? Can't be fucking around. You gotta get your whole body in there.
I hope you enjoy, because we enjoy bringing it to you. We're your hosts, Captain Berg and Captain Lance, and welcome aboard.
Well, hey, Linds, what's going on?
Hey, how are you?
I'm doing great. How are you?
Good, good.
How is Vegas?
Vegas is Vegas. Vegas is a lot of things that you kind of wouldn't expect it to be.
Oh, yeah?
Oh, yeah. Everything's a blind side. When you think you have it figured out, you don't.
Right, right. Are you loving it so far?
I am. I'm loving the nature aspect of it the most, of course.
Right.
I spent some time on the Strip, and I think I've had my fill. I think I'm good.
So I take it, I don't know too many people who live in Vegas. So I take it when you get there, there's some excitement. You want to go check out the Strip and spend some time, but then we're done with that now?
Yeah. Well, the first thing that anyone tells you when you get here is how dangerous the Strip is. So I still had that curiosity in me, though. I haven't been here before. So I still wanted to go down there, drive through it, whatever. But I feel like once you see a handful of the hotels and casinos, you've seen them all.
Yeah.
And I mean, all of like the homeless population, the drug dealers, the violence that happens, you know, it's not worth it.
Yeah. I didn't know it was that bad.
Yeah, there's a lot of crazy stuff that goes on out here. Car fires and stabbings and a lot of things that you just don't want to get involved with.
Yeah. Unless you have something to go do on the Strip, then we'll just avoid it.
Exactly. There's so much to do off of the Strip that people don't really recognize. I mean, everything that I could possibly need, grocery stores, shopping, whatever, is all within 2 miles. You know, I don't have to go to the Strip for anything.
Yeah, for sure. The Strip is, I mean, that's for the tourists.
That's for the tourists, yeah.
Which you are no longer a tourist.
Which is such a weird feeling, because now when I walk the Strip, I'm like, oh, okay, peasants. You know? You know, like I run this now. I've been here for a month, but you know, I run it.
Yeah. I'm in charge now.
Exactly.
Just call me the Queen of Vegas, all right?
Exactly. Put some respect on my name, you know?
So I can see from your posts that you've been out and exploring the backcountry. How has that been?
It has been unreal. So another thing I heard a lot of was, oh, everything in the desert's the same. If you see one mountain, you've seen them all. Everything's brown. It's boring, whatever. But I don't think that's the case. I mean, I've gone all directions of Vegas, north, south, west, east, whatever. And everywhere is brand new, in my opinion. I mean, you have Red Rock Canyon, which is touristy to an extent. Those are the best views of mountains that I've found so far. But as for the rest of them, if you go down southwest a little bit, there's a little area that I hang out at often. And those mountains don't have the best view per se, but the space, the trails, the lack of people, it's unmatched.
Yeah.
You know, everywhere you go is something new if you're looking for that something new.
Absolutely. I'm wondering too, the open spaces, like you said, or without the people, that's kind of new for you, right? I mean, coming from the city.
Yeah, it is so crazy. I actually was talking to a friend the other day, and I was like, yeah, I'm just sitting here, nobody in sight for miles. And my friend was like, nobody? Like, isn't that weird? Aren't you feeling vulnerable? I'm like, I don't know. I don't think it's vulnerable. I think it's a lot safer, in my opinion, because then you know who's going to approach you, whatever. It's just a very freeing feeling. I also think it's nice to feel vulnerable once in a while, if that makes sense.
Can you say that again? It's nice.
I think it's nice to feel vulnerable once in a while.
Absolutely.
It kind of puts you back in like, oh, I'm human, you know?
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. It's up to me.
Exactly.
It's up to me. Yep. I couldn't agree more.
Yeah, the space is just, it's amazing. You don't have to worry about like running into anybody you know. You don't have to worry about your music being too loud. It's great.
Right. Yeah, the music coming out of your book.
Exactly, the music coming out of my book.
What are you reading? What are you reading in your most recent post? Just curious.
That book was about indigo starseeds. It's essentially some spiritual type situation where there's 3 generations of starseeds that have come down from the universe, and it's a whole hoopla. I'm personally fascinated in it, so I've been reading up on it. And it's just different personality types, essentially, and kind of what's shifting the universe.
Okay, so it's like a new agey kind of thing.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay.
It's more of a researchy type, but again, spiritual. So if you're into that type of thing.
I am big time. I've been on a journey for many years. I mean, we're all on a journey for our whole lives, right? But I mean, like intentionally trying to have like a spiritual or awareness thing. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just like a greater purpose type.
Cool.
Yeah, whether you're into it or not, but it gives you that sense of self and something relatable.
Yeah. I was just curious because I saw the post and then I read some of the comments and I was like, oh yeah, someone said something about forklift training and I thought that was hilarious. I thought that was funny.
Yeah, he's a goofball.
Yeah.
I never know what he's going to comment on my stuff.
Yes. So what you're saying is, yes, I will be delivering all the beer pallets to the Caesar forthcoming.
Exactly. So invite me to your parties.
Exactly. That's funny. Okay, now, how is the Rav doing out there?
She seems to be in a little bit of pain from doing all of the trails. She's doing well. I just personally feel bad because I have that emotional connection with it.
Yeah.
So whenever I hear like a little noise that shouldn't be making, I'm like, oh shit.
Yeah.
You know, but she handles really well. I've taken her on a lot of trails that I didn't think I would be able to do, but she really pulls through every time. I mean, the only time I've really had trouble, maybe on big hills when it's the ground is really soft. But aside from that, I mean, the clearance might be another big issue.
Yeah.
But again, know where you can go, know where you can't.
Yeah. I think another one of your recent posts showed you taking some pretty good moguls, some ruts, and I was like, yeah, she's doing it. Like, take her out and do it.
Yeah, that's one of the clearance issues. I could hear my car scraping, so my next investment is going to be a skid plate.
Yeah.
So I don't crack my oil pan or anything. But yeah, I mean, my suspension is holding up like nothing. My car comes out working every time, so that's a plus.
Yep.
Yeah, and then I'm always out on the trails right now with RAV4 TRD Batty, and she has a TRD RAV4, so she just sends it and then expects me to follow. So I don't know if you've seen my posts lately where I'm like, oh, I'm selling her. Take RAV4 TRD Batty. Like, I'll pay you to take her. She goes too hard. Yeah, I'm not kidding.
Yeah.
I will pay you to take her because, oh my gosh, my poor car.
I can't take you anywhere.
No, and every time I'm like, oh, maybe we should go around this. And she's like, no. She goes, just do it. You can do it. And I'm like, okay. So she's getting me out of my comfort zone.
That's good. But that's good,
yeah.
though. And is she, I mean, obviously she's lived there. Does she have quite a bit more experience than you as well out off-roading?
Yeah, in the sense that she has lived here longer. She's done more trails. She's had her community of people over here, which is obviously a lot more than New York. So she's gotten to learn from more people. Yeah, she is really nice to learn from, honestly.
Hell yeah. I found the same way. That was very similar to me when I got into it. I've done a little bit of stuff, but hanging out with those folks that have been doing it for a long time, I felt like was really important for me to learn.
Yeah, you can learn a lot online, but you learn the most from people.
Absolutely. And then just doing it.
Exactly. Yeah. It's all trial and error. like, like I'm a beginner at most of this. So to have a friend that, knows how to do simple stuff like air down tires, I've never had to do that before.
Yep.
And so to have someone just sit there and have the patience and be like, okay, put this here, go to whatever PSI, because I don't know what it's supposed to be at. It's nice, it's nice to have that support.
So just speaking of airing down, so then did you go get some tools like to do the job, or did you not know about those tools? Did you use
I knew about them. I just haven't gotten to buying my own yet. And when
Okay.
I do go on trails where you have to air down, I'm not going alone in case anything happens.
Right.
So, I mean, all of my friends have the stuff. I just borrow.
Yeah, okay. I was just curious because I was, again, same boat. When I showed up and they were like, oh, we're going to take air out of the tires. And I was like, oh, okay.
You're right. It's like,
What?
really? Is that necessary?
Yeah. What do I do? Well, do you have a tool? No, they have tools for that shit. Oh, okay.
Exactly. I didn't even think it made that much of a difference before I did it.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, so you take a little bit of air out of the tires, big whoop. Oh no, it's like night and day.
Huge. It's a huge difference. And over the years, I've learned why we do it. I mean, there are more than one reason to do it, and I was like, okay, this is pretty awesome. Just recently we did a huge trip and we were in the sand, and I took them down further than I normally did this year just to see if there was a difference between, say, 16 PSI and 10 or 11. And there is quite a bit of difference. Doesn't seem like it would be, but just that little bit improved my traction and my ride and all of that stuff. So,
oh, definitely, especially in the sand where you're just going to sink right in.
Exactly.
You have to have that traction, you have to have that surface area.
So, do you guys have some sand? Have you been able to play in some sand?
Not so much sand. I don't really know how you would classify the sediment here. It's a very loose, fine dirt.
Yeah.
So it can suck you in, but it's not as fine as sand where you're gonna just get stuck if you stop.
Yeah.
At least not yet. I'm not sure how it gets in the summer when it's dry. It's been raining on and off a little bit.
You'll know sand when you get into it. Like, I mean, there's no question about it. It's like, oh, this feels weird.
Oh yeah, it's slippy and slidey. I kind of compare sand to being in snow.
Yes.
But a little bit more control.
Yes. And
Yeah.
I say yes only in the fact that I imagine that to be the case because I'm not, well, you'll see here in the West, we don't get tons of snow unless you're going up the mountain to find it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. Being that I've been in snow and I've been in a little bit of sand, nothing crazy, but you have the same amount of control, it feels like when you're driving, when you make the turns, your car drifts, etc. But with the snow, you don't stop because you hit the ice. With the sand, at least you stop, but then you get stuck.
Exactly. I've learned one of the tricks I've learned is that when you're in the sand, especially if it's like duny, hilly, stop pointing downward. Never stop going up.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Because you need that momentum to get out.
Yeah, you can just take your foot off the brake and it'll roll. Like.
Exactly. Yeah. Sand stresses me out, but I'm determined to do it one day. I am.
It does stress you out, but once you kind of figure out a couple of the basics, you kind of have something to go off of, a baseline, and then you realize, oh, I can totally do this. Yeah, this last trip I did, because I'm a two-wheel drive guy, so that makes it even a little bit more difficult. And most of the time, my answer to that is put your fucking foot in the gas, like just go.
Yeah. Yeah, just send it.
Yep. And so this trip, I decided I was going to see what I could do slower. Let me see what I can, what sand dune can I climb without just flooring it, and let me see what this thing will kind of do. And you'd be surprised,
Oh yeah.
There are a lot of tricks in the sand that, like, if you feel like you can go slow in the sand with a steady foot on the gas and just sort of let the tires do the work, let the car do the work, let the machine move, and you won't move fast, but it'll move. You can just sort of keep moving subtly in the direction that you need to go. And if you put too much gas into it, you dig holes. So you just kind of want to let the machine, let it work. It'll go.
Yeah, totally. Especially if you're airing down to, what did you say, 10 psi?
Yeah, 10 psi. Like,
So, I mean, do you have bead locks for that?
it's possible it could be recommended. I don't have bead locks for that.
Yeah, because that sounds like a bold choice.
But I think when you're in the sand like that, the sand gives, the tires give. So I think when you're bead locks would be more. I don't know. I'm not an expert on that. But I think if you're going hard and you're rock crawling and things like that at that low psi, where you might get something that shoves into the side of the sidewall to really push on the side of the tire to pop that bead out, or if you're going really hard doing like crazy donuts, that kind of thing, I think that's when you really want to do bead locks. But for the kind of stuff I'm doing, I don't think it's really necessary. I'm not going that hard.
Right. You're just doing enough to get where you're going.
Yeah. And again, trying to slow. I'm trying to slow down. Slow down. You can maybe send it without actually sending it.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, snail mail.
I like that. Snail mail. That's what you need to do. Yep.
That's exactly it.
Yep.
Yeah. The first time I went on a trail with VTO, Vegas Toyota Off-Road, we were hitting a trail called Cottonwood, and it was recommended to air down. And I just got here, so I had never taken my air valve caps off, right? And they were metal. So we get to the trailhead, everyone's airing down, yada, yada. So I start to try to take my air valve caps off. They wouldn't budge. Ooh. So everyone's like done airing down at this point, and I'm over here, like, I don't have tools. I can't get my caps off. So a big group of people come over to my car with their tools, trying to get them off. They wouldn't get off because I guess the salt had got into the metal air valve cap.
Yeah.
And it basically fused it together. So they got 2 off, but obviously you can't air down 2 tires. So I sent the trail without airing down, which was fine. But it got to the point where it was so bad, I had to take it to an auto shop and have them replace the whole valve stem.
Yeah.
Because it was just locked on there. So I've learned very quickly to get plastic valve covers. That is my words of wisdom.
This is good information. Now, were the metal ones like the factory ones, or were they ones you put on like shiny deals?
Yeah, no, they were cheap Amazon ones.
Okay. But I mean,
they seized right on there.
You put them on there because they were pretty or something? Like
Yeah, they were just black. They matched my wheels.
Gotcha.
Mm-hmm. So plastic's the way to go.
I have these little plastic skulls with red eyes.
Oh, nice.
like a friend of mine, we talked about that, and he's like, you know what? Sometimes I go to the auto parts store and I just roam around, and if it gets me to giggle, I'll throw it on my rig.
I love that.
Yeah, if it gives me a giggle. And so I was doing that. I was like, I was looking for some caps, like cool caps. And I was like, ooh, skulls with red eyes. Done.
I love that theory.
Yeah.
I got to get more into that. I kind of did that with the dinosaur thing, right?
Yeah, totally. Yeah.
Because if it makes you smile, why wouldn't you want it?
Totally. 100% agree. Absolutely. I mean, that's why I like the dinos. It's like they make me smile,
Exactly. They're a very nostalgic, happy feeling when you're doing a thing that you love and you get to look down and see more happiness.
Yeah.
You can't beat it.
Yeah. Whatever, dino nerd. Hey, well, why don't you try it? Try it before you knock it. You know what I mean?
Exactly. Have a little buddy with you then talk.
Put a dinosaur on your dash and tell me it doesn't make you smile.
Exactly. Exactly. That's what I try to tell people all the time. They're like, why do you have a little dinosaur? I'm like, why don't you have a little dinosaur?
Exactly.
It's really not that deep. You just should have one.
Yeah. So tell me about the dogs.
The dogs. So Rat Fortiarity Batty and we were going down a different trail. It's called Lava Butte. And first of all, on this trail, we took a right instead of a left. So we got into a sticky situation where we had to go down a hill that was sketchy, but it was fine.
Yeah.
And then we got to another hill that was completely impassable. So we had to go back up this hill, which I had to send because my car was not going to make it otherwise. So I was already kind of in a little, oh my gosh, let's get this trail over with. I'm terrified. My car is going to fall apart.
Yeah.
But so we go the right way after that, and we're heading down the trail. She radios over to me, and she's like, hey, I'm going to stop and grab a picture of my car real quick. And I'm like, cool. So I go up a little bit. I pull off, and I'm sitting there in my car waiting for her, and I look over, and I see this dog come over the hill. And I'm looking. I'm like, am I seeing this right? What is this? So I radio into her, and I'm like, hey, there's a dog up here. Like, you come over here now. And as I'm radioing to her, a second dog comes over the hill. So at this point, I'm looking for an owner. I'm looking for anything. They're not wearing collars. I'm concerned.
Yeah.
So she makes it over, and these dogs are circling my car, sniffing my wheels, checking it out, making sure like all things are good. And they start to walk away. And so I call them back over because, I want to see if I can help them because I don't see a person. So they come up to my door, and they're jumping on my door. So I put my hand out the window to make sure they're nice before I got out. They start licking my hand. They're so excited. Their tails are going. So I get out of my car, and they just are like, the dogs are so grateful to see people. It broke our hearts, you know? So we gave them some of whatever trail snacks we had. I think we gave them blueberry bread and Doritos just because we could see their ribs. They were just a mess. And as my doors open while we're feeding them, they jump right in my car.
Just come on in. Take me. Me.
Oh yeah. They just hopped right in. Couldn't get them out. They just looked at me when I was like patting my legs. I'm like, come on. Nothing. So at that point, we're like, well, we have to take them.
Yeah.
So we built this little wall barrier. We took my cargo net from the roof of my car, brought it down to make a wall from the front seat to the back seat. And then I realized I still had my dog hammock from my dogs in New York in my trunk. So I bring the dog hammock, we put it across the back seats. And so it was pretty decent barricade, but apparently the dogs, Houdini, they got their way out.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Once they're in my car, we're driving down, and we stop right before we get on the main road to try and find a shelter to bring them to. And as we're sitting there, these dogs are all over my car. They're flipping out. They don't like to be in the car when my car is stopped, only when it's in motion. When it's in motion, they're laying down, they're angels. But when I'm stopped, hell breaks loose. So we find a shelter, and we start heading that way. I got them in the backseat again. We start heading that way. On the road, we had to stop 2 times because they got out of the barricade, and they were on my lap, behind me, stepping on things, changing settings in my car. I couldn't drive. I was like, oh my God.
Yeah.
They were all over the place. And yeah, so it was a very sketchy, 15-minute drive. But again, they were so sweet. They broke the cargo net, as you probably saw the video.
Yeah.
But can you really be mad?
No.
Yeah, so we get into the shelter. The shelter puts us on a wait list. So we have these dogs on makeshift leashes in the parking lot with a bowl of water, trying to get them to semi-calm down, not working. But the time goes by. I took the one for a walk up and down the shelter because she would not calm down for the life of her. And they ended up taking them in. They were microchipped. And so the shelter called the owners, and the owners didn't answer, which is leading to believe they were abandoned, no collars, not answering the phones, etc. So, we haven't heard word back. I don't expect to hear word back, of course, but I think they might go up for adoption if they're not claimed. I hope they find good homes. They're such good dogs.
It sounds like it. It looked like it. The picture that you showed me was the picture of, in my mind, of the typical rescue type of dog.
Mm-hmm.
Just, oh my God, somebody, attention. Oh, hey, I'm coming in the front. I'm coming up here. Don't leave me back there.
Exactly.
Don't leave me back there.
Exactly. And it's the pit bulls too. Pit bulls have my heart. They are my favorite dog breed. And so their little faces, they just touch close to home.
Yeah.
I have a pit bull of my own back in New York. She had to stay with my family, but she's my whole life, Plus, it was so bizarre to me to find stray dogs
out in the middle of.
We don't have a lot of that in New York.
Yeah, right. And,
they're just out here, all over the place.
And how far out would you say you were from civilization-ish?
We weren't too far. I would say within 5 miles.
Okay.
It wasn't too crazy because it was right at the end of the trail.
Okay. I was just curious, like, were they, you know what I mean? Were you guys like 10, 15 miles out? Like somebody took their dogs and dumped them in the middle of nowhere? That'd be horrible.
Yeah, well, actually, so we posted about the dogs on the VTO Facebook group, the off-roading group, to see
Yeah.
if anyone had any information on them. And someone commented saying, hey, we saw those dogs 3 days ago when we were on that same trail. And they said they called animal control. Animal control said they would go check in and grab them. Clearly, they didn't. You know, and that's what breaks my heart because there was attention brought to them
Yeah.
and no care was taken. And it's not like the dogs were running away from people.
Yeah.
I don't blame the first person who commented that. I don't blame him for not taking the dogs in because you don't know. They could be mean. They could attack you, whatever.
Totally.
But animal control didn't go get them. And that's what breaks my heart. You know, you would never see that in New York.
Yeah, I can't speak to, you know, I don't want to defend any animal control people who are not doing what they claimed they're going to do, you know.
Mm-hmm.
That I would imagine in the city it's probably more of a priority seeing as there are way more people and we got to get this freaking animal off the street, whereas out there, again, I'm not trying to excuse any behavior, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, recently in Vegas, there was a dog that was found that was roaming with a pack of coyotes. The coyotes just kind of adopted this little pit bull in as their own. But eventually the dog ended up getting injured, so animal control had to intervene. But there's just dogs everywhere.
Yep.
There's just stray animals. It's the most bizarre thing to me.
Yep. We have that here in Arizona too. Tons of dogs. They're everywhere.
Yeah, it breaks my heart.
And cats.
Yeah.
The
Yeah,
cats.
cats are pretty much everywhere, which is also sad.
Yeah.
But they can kind of fend for themselves. You know, they can find whatever food and, you know.
Yeah, I almost feel better for perhaps the strays that are in a city because there's plenty to go around. I mean,
Yeah.
rats and trash and food. I mean, and people giving water. I mean, they're it may not be the best, but there's stuff going around. Whereas out here in the desert, it's like, fucking, this dog doesn't know how to hunt. I'm sure some instincts will kick in, but still, it's not like, you know, if this dog was born in captivity, if you will, you know, domesticated, it doesn't know how to hunt. I mean, it, like I said, it has some instincts, but it doesn't have any experience in that.
Oh, absolutely. And in the desert, the lack of water,
Exactly.
you know, there's nothing.
Exactly.
So, I mean, I don't know how long they could have survived.
I would be you'd probably be surprised to find that they can last, but still, you have to have water.
You have to have water.
I mean, how long can we go? Humans, 2 or 3 days?
Yeah, 3 days max for water.
Yeah, and you're fucked.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, you're in trouble.
Yeah, so it melted our hearts. They were covered in dust. Their skin was all dry. Their noses were all cracked. It was so sad.
Well,
Yeah.
I'm super stoked that you girls grabbed him. And where did you take
Oh,
him?
yeah. We took them to a shelter called the Animal Foundation.
Okay.
So that's the one place where you can bring them, because certain areas of Vegas have certain shelters, but it's not like you can bring them to any rescue shelter. It has to be specific.
Okay.
So that one, it's not 100% no kill, which I don't love.
Yeah.
But they only euthanize the dogs that are unadoptable due to behavioral issues, health issues, etc.
Okay.
So it made me feel better bringing them there.
Yeah.
But yeah, which is, again, another thing I'm not used to. No kill shelters in New York. You know, you don't euthanize dogs in New York.
Right. And that was going to be the question I was going to ask about the shelters, if it was a no kill, but not 100%. And that,
Right. There's very, very few 100% no kill shelters here.
Yeah.
And the ones that are no kill, you can't just bring strays to.
Yep. And I found that in California when I started to look for a dog, when I wanted a dog, finding a no-kill shelter, that's who I wanted to support, you know what I mean? Even if it cost me a little bit more money to adopt that dog from there, I'll do it because I want to support them. But,
100%.
And you'd be surprised to find how many like kill shelters there are. There are a lot, you know.
They're all over.
Yeah, and I think most of those are don't quote me, but I think they're like government-run places. You know, like the city
Yeah.
has a pound or something like that, and they'll keep the dog for a couple of weeks, but they have to make room for the next batch of strays that are going to come in.
Yeah, I think you're right. Yeah, I don't know. It blows my mind that they
Yeah.
can just euthanize dogs.
Yeah,
I couldn't imagine.
I know a few people who could use some euthanization.
Yeah, people, yeah. I'm okay with that sometimes, but
Are you for the death penalty? Shit, I'm for fucking euthanization. Come on, what are you talking about?
exactly.
It's like-
There's an overflow of stupidity. Let's start there.
Seems to be these days. Seems to
Exactly.
be. I'm not talking shit. No, you didn't hear me. We're gonna edit this later.
Exactly. Yeah, this is going to get cut. This is off the script.
Okay, so that is awesome. I'm super stoked that you guys did that.
Yeah, I'm really grateful to have been able to do that.
I've rescued a couple of dogs in my day. So, and one of them was from the streets, like from the street
Hmm.
in my old neighborhood. So, and
Yeah.
I was gonna keep her. I would have kept her, but my god sister and her husband were like, "We'll take her," and I was like, "Hell yeah!" So she got her forever. From the
Yeah, no, that's awesome.
yeah, from the streets of Palm Springs to a 10-acre property in Joshua Tree. Dog is stoked.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's perfect.
Yep.
Yeah, my family, we've always adopted rescue animals, from dogs, cats, turtles, guinea pigs, horses, sheep, you name it. We have always taken in rescues. So when I saw those dogs, there was no chance I was leaving them there.
Yeah, you're coming with.
Exactly. Yeah, you're part of the crew now.
Yep. So speaking of crew, how's the Vegas crew? So what's the name of the one you're what is it?
VTO. So
VTO.
Vegas Toyota Off-Road. That is the first group that I did a run with. They are one of the bigger groups here.
Yeah.
And we did a night run, and everyone had their cars decorated for Christmas. So it was a lot of fun, My only complaint with group runs in general, nothing against the group itself, is that they're very slow paced.
Yep.
Because you're waiting for so many people.
Yep.
So I'm not very fond of the large group runs. I try to keep it small and just friends.
I agree with that. I think they're fun on occasion. Let's get a Yoda train going every once in a while.
Exactly.
But on a regular basis, I prefer to let's stick to 6 tops.
Yeah, exactly. Where you can kind of organize, hey, let's stop up here, or let's veer off here. You can't do that with a large group because everyone needs to know the plan and needs to know where to be.
Yeah, totally.
Stuff like that. We actually took a different trip with a different group, Vegas Forerunners, and we went up north about 2 hours to Caliente, Nevada, at a place called Delamar Ghost Town. That trip was fun. I didn't count. It might have been about 10 builds. It was a lot of Ford Raptors and all of that, but that trail was unbelievable. And having a smaller group helped so much. We all got to hang out. We all actually knew each other's names, and you get to talk to people then and meet people. It's not just get in your car, go, we're leaving.
Yeah. You start to remember. Yeah. So that was like, what'd you say, like 10?
Yeah, somewhere around 10 builds.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if you remember on one of my posts, my car was just splattered with mud.
Yeah. Was that trip?
Yes. Yeah, we got up there, we were on the trail, and we look over, and it looked to be a dry lake. I'm not 100% on what it was, but it was just a very large flat area. And then it had maybe 2 inches of water, and the top of it was ice. So we all just took our cars and we just went in, and the ice, water, mud combination was so perfect for donuts.
Oh, fun.
So we all just sent it. We tore it up. It was so much fun.
Oh, fun. And then how long did it take for you to get all the mud out of the...
It took me 10 minutes with just water to get some of the mud off. Some of the mud off. That's excluding the undercarriage. That's strictly doors, crevices of like the roof rack. So then I gave up and I did another 10 minutes of like a soapy power wash. Tried that, rinsed it off. There was more dirt. So then another 10 minutes of rinsing and whatever. So I pull my car out because it looks spotless at this point when it's wet. I pull it out. It's just dripping mud from everything.
Yeah.
I surrendered. I'm like, this is as good as it's going to get right now. So, and you know what? I didn't really care because I was back out on the trails the next day.
The next day. So are you? It looks to us like you're out there every day. Are you?
Pretty much.
Pretty much.
Yeah, I would say I'm out somewhere in the mountains at least 5 days a week.
Yeah.
Because right now I'm unemployed. I'm looking for a job here.
Yeah.
So to fill my time, what else would I be doing?
Fucking wheeling.
Fucking wheeling, always.
Hell
and if I'm
yeah.
not wheeling, I'm in my rooftop tent just reading or coloring or doing Sudoku puzzles, anything.
Yep.
It's my favorite place to be.
So from front door to peace and serenity, how long?
To my go-to spot, it's about 30 minutes.
Isn't that wonderful?
It's when I first started doing it, oh my gosh, I couldn't believe it.
Yep.
I would just go for like an hour, which made zero sense to drive 30 minutes, stay for an hour and drive another 30 minutes. Didn't care. I'm taking full advantage of it. It's unreal.
I am with you on that because when I moved last year to like the northern part of Phoenix, and so now I'm right on the edge kind of the outskirts of Phoenix. So for me, the trailhead is, I don't know, 20 minutes up the road,
That's amazing.
and I'm in the dirt. And then from there, I mean, within 10 or 15 minutes of getting into the dirt, you're pretty much, I can't see the highway anymore. It feels like, I know it's only a few miles away, but it feels like I'm out.
Yeah, no, it feels like you're totally in the middle of nowhere with
Yep.
no one to bother you.
Yep.
It's amazing. Yeah, all of our quote unquote good trails, I would say no more than 45 minutes away in different directions.
Yep.
It's wild.
Yep. I have several options here that are within, if I want to go like further away, then I can go, like you said, like another 30, 40 minutes from my front door and I'm deep.
Oh, yeah.
Or if I just kind of want to go, like I said, if I just kind of want to get away and feel like I'm away, yeah.
Yeah, you can just take a few hours. You get off from work, you get to go.
Yep. I did that.
I'm not used to that at all.
Yep. It's that's what I love about getting kind of away from the city. And I think for most of like when I grew up in the Los Angeles area, if you wanted to get in the dirt, it was 2 hours away. Like if you really wanted to get out into some really good camping, or I mean, you could go up the mountain, but it's still an hour, 2 hours away.
Right. Yeah, that's kind of similar to how New York was.
Yeah.
Not that like everything was that far away, but to get away from people, yeah, easily an hour or two.
Yeah, exactly. To get a kind of away. Like if you go if you go from Los Angeles, up to Big Bear is kind of one of the big places. You can go to Big Bear and you're kind of in the mountains and in the woods, but still tons of people. Everyone from fucking LA is in Big Bear,
Right.
But
Right.
if you
yeah,
really-
I've heard Big Bear is like a big place for meats too.
Yeah. Well, there's usually one every year. It's called the San G trip. If you get on Tacoma World, you can probably, I'm sure there's some RAV4 stuff, but yeah, Big Bear's there are tons of trails just running all through Big Bear from all levels, from easy to like extremely difficult. And so that's where I met a lot of good friends of mine, on those trips.
Yeah,
And I
totally.
think usually around September, there's a big Tacoma World Big Bear meetup.
Oh, that's cool. Maybe I'll have to check that out.
Yep. And then like the one that we just do is another annual one at the end of January, and that's Superstition. It's the Tacoma World Superstition Meet, and it's down in Anza Borrego, which is it's just a huge state park, and I believe it's the largest state park in the country as far as like acreage goes.
Really? I haven't heard of it.
Anza Borrego, and it's Southern California, and there are multiple off-road. So the one we go to is called Superstition OHV, and that's where all the like sand dunes are. And then you can go out into Fish Creek area, which are these huge canyons that you can drive through, these mud canyons, and there are tons of trails there. And then there's Ocotillo Wells, and Ocotillo Wells is kind of like where all the dirt bikers go. So like dirt bikers and UTVs, and that's a whole range of trails. There are just tons and tons of dirt and sand and canyons to play in down there.
Right, right. It seems like anywhere you are out west, you're always like an hour from a mountain, hour from a desert, and an hour from trees.
Yep.
It's so funny.
I'm sure you've seen pictures of people posting their rigs parked next to a huge rusted dragon.
Yeah, I think I have.
Yeah, that's down in Anza Borrego.
Okay.
That's actually in a town called Borrego Springs.
Okay.
But that's that area.
Sounds like I'm gonna have to get a picture there then.
Yeah,
join the trend.
Yeah, join the trend. Yep. It's a huge it's like a sea serpent, and it's a big metal artsy sea serpent. You can drive your car right up to it. It's really
cool.
It's really cool. And throughout that whole area of Borrego Springs, I believe there are like 30 or 40 or I don't know the number. There are tons of those little metal sculptures that somebody did, and so you kind of like drive around to these different areas all around Borrego Springs and go check out. There are dinosaurs.
Oh, now I'm really gonna have to go. That you should have started with that.
I should have.
Oh my goodness.
Hey, Linds, did you know? Well,
Right.
I started with the sea serpent because it's kind of like the popular one, and it's like everyone takes a picture of the sea serpent deal because it's,
Right. It's iconic.
Yeah, exactly. But there are tons of dinosaurs.
Yeah, maybe that'll be one of the trips.
Yep.
So you'll be seeing those posts soon.
put some dinos on the dino. You know what I mean?
Oh my goodness. I should make a Toyota take only and just leave dinos and be like only Toyota people. Sorry.
Only Yotas.
Only Toyota people.
Yeah.
That's it. If you're a Jeep person, please don't.
Uh-oh.
You can leave the duck as tribute, but that's it.
Oh.
Sorry.
I'm just gonna say this. Megan, watch out. Megan's a Jeep friend.
Yeah.
No, she's cool. Her boyfriend is our buddy Luke, and Luke drives a Toyota. He's got a Tacoma, so.
Okay, well, Megan sounds like she could have a dinosaur. I make exceptions sometimes.
No, Megan has dinosaurs. I gave her dinosaurs.
Oh, perfect. Okay, so she's cool. She's cool.
Yeah.
We'll let her slide.
We'll let you in over here.
Yeah, we'll let her slide.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah, but I really have met so many cool people over here. I mean, I moved over here essentially but specifically for Rev 4 TRD Batty and Reaper Rev.
Right.
Those two people, they are my best friends. Everyone else that has come with it, amazing. I have yet to meet one bad person.
I love the Toyota community. Like,
I do too. Everyone has something different to offer.
Yep.
They all have their own personalities, obviously, but it's cool to see different people coming together with the same interest so you can learn from everybody about everything.
Yep.
But always have something to talk to that you have something in common with.
Yep. I couldn't agree more. I mean, and not to, I know we pick on Jeeps and stuff, but just like the off-road community in general is pretty much that.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I mean, there's nothing better than starting a little rivalry within a group meet. If you have that one Jeep guy, I did that once. We had one Jeep guy, and I was like, oh, yeah, we're ready to take this trail. Good thing we're not in Jeeps. And I looked at him, and he just looked at me. It's fun to have those little rivalries because in the end, everybody can do it.
Yeah.
It's all the driver, it's not the car, and Jeeps are very capable
Absolutely.
At the end of the day. But it's fun to pick on them.
When they're working.
Exactly. When they're not on the side of the road.
when they're running, they're great.
But yeah, it's really great.
Yeah, I think a part of that is the fact that we're all getting out of our comfort zones. You know what I mean? Like we're going on these adventures, and the possibility for there to be a serious situation can come up, and I think that's what bonds us, like soldiers in the fucking trenches, right?
Yeah.
Totally. I think that's what it is, and that builds this. We build this rapport, and so when you see another off-roader, you're kind of like, I got you. I know. Yep.
Yeah, exactly.
Yep.
You see someone off, something going on, you're going to stop and you're going to help them no matter what.
I do that. I've done that multiple times, if I can help. I saw a Jeep on the side of the road, and he had one of his like steering pieces was busted. And I pulled over like, hey, what's up, dude? Like, let's take a look. Something broke on his rig. And I was like, well, I have a bunch of tools and parts. They're Toyota stuff, but let's see if there's anything that we could use to maybe fix your shit. Like, do you have tools?
Right.
You know, we couldn't. We couldn't do it. There wasn't anything we could do, but still that idea, like I call it trail karma, you know, I mean, that's your trail karma.
Oh, 100%. Yeah. RAV4 TRD Batty and I, we were up in the Mount Charleston area where there's snow, and we pulled off to go in this one little icy area, but there were bathrooms there. So we pulled off, and as we're getting out to use the bathroom, we get approached by this couple, and the couple looks at us. They're like, hey, can you help us? And we're like, okay, what? They're like, our truck is stuck. So their truck, baldest tires I've ever seen in my life. They should not have been on ice. But granted, you know, they did it. So Monique and I, that's her name, we go over and we use our recovery boards. We ended up using my ratchet straps because we didn't have tow straps. We hooked up my ratchet straps to her tow hitch, and the truck, I think the truck had a tow hitch, yeah. And we ended up pulling him. Well, I had her do it because she has the TRD, but she ends up pulling him all the way out onto the road. I would say maybe a tenth of a mile, which doesn't seem like a lot, but when you're towing a pickup truck with a RAV4, you know, it's a crazy thought. It was actually a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's, I don't know, it's fun to recover people.
Totally.
You know, and then they try to pay, and it's like, pay for what? You know, I just had a lot of fun, you know, and send them on their way, and you know, it's a good time. It really is.
Yeah, the karma will come back. I promise.
Exactly.
I promise there'll be you know what I mean? Something will happen.
Oh, always, you know, and that's the thing. Nobody ever is doing anything for money. You know, no one's ever helping you out of a ditch for money. None of that. It's just, you see someone who needs help, you do it.
Yep. I mean,
So,
that happened.
it's awesome.
That happened to me. I hate to admit that my Toyota left me stranded, but it's more operator error as opposed to, you know, the vehicle.
Yeah.
But I had to get towed and so the truck died while I was 3 hours from civilization, and found some folks, you know, hey man, can you give us a ride back to civilization? He was like, totally. And then once we got back to civilization, gave me a ride all the way back to the house. He was like, so what are you going to do? And I was like, well, let me get some stuff. Let me go to the auto parts store and get some things. And he was like, I'll come back in the morning and take you back out there. Are you seriously? And he goes, absolutely. And so we went back out there, and after about an hour of trying to figure out what the fuck was wrong with my rig, he was like, look, instead of wasting time, let's just hook the strap up. We'll pull you out of here. We'll get you back. You know, we'll get you back to the pavement so you can call a tow truck and get this thing home for you to figure it out. And that's what he did. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah.
It was a 2-day affair for him.
Totally. And I did give him some money for gas, which I think is fair because he drove Jesus.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I mean, just the willingness to do that, you know, and it's pretty rad. The guy was DPS here, which is Department of Public Safety, and that's who he was a state trooper.
Oh, okay. Nice.
Cop. So like,
yeah,
dude took time out of his day. Cops are humans, everybody, just so you know.
Cops are humans, absolutely.
Yeah. But
and a lot of them off-road.
Exactly. Like took all of that time. Like, I mean, that was a big ordeal. You know what I mean? I mean, fucking towed me 3 hours in the dirt. Like towed my truck out. Like,
yeah, no, it's unbelievable. People are so selfless out on the trails. It's the most amazing thing.
Yeah, and that's why I say, like, that's it was every stop or every person I had helped out up to that was my, you know what I mean?
That's your karma.
Yep, that's my karma coming back.
Your trail karma.
Totally.
Absolutely. What goes around comes around.
Totally, 100%.
For sure.
100%. So how's the place? You like the place?
Yeah. Cool. Everything has lined up really well. You know, I found a nice place to live. It's honestly better than any apartment I've seen in Buffalo. Not like it's not a mansion. It's an apartment. But I mean, it's just different from what I'm used to. And an apartment that I'm in here would be maybe $500 more a month in Buffalo.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I really lucked out.
Yeah.
That was kind of a big part of me moving here too. You know, it's reasonable. The
Price.
living expenses are not as bad as everyone expects them to be in Vegas.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's getting expensive here in Arizona. When I moved here, it's ridiculous.
Yeah. No, I really lucked out with this place. And I have good neighbors too. I know because Reaper Rev lives relatively close to me. So that's nice because we can always hook up and go do a trail or whatever we need to do.
Cool.
And I have a lot of my neighbors come up to me. They're always asking me about my car, stuff like that.
Yeah,
it's
fun.
super cool.
Super fun.
Mm-hmm.
So what's up with the job situation still? We don't have to talk about too much stuff. Let me just say that if I ever ask a question that you don't want to answer, then you just say, yeah, pass.
No, I'm good. I can talk about this. It's interesting. My background is vast. So I am in my early 20s, but I've done a lot of jobs. So I started out as a hairdresser. I went into human services. I went into bartending, teaching, and I have a degree in criminal justice. So to find a job, I don't technically specialize in anything.
Yeah.
So it's been a little rocky. Granted, I'm trying to play up the adaptability side of things. However,
yeah.
Everyone here, though, college is not as big here as it is up north. So everyone here has experience right out of high school. They are all trumping me with experience because they all go right into whatever they wanted to do. So the competition is fierce. I'm just trying to get in where I fit in,
Yeah.
So I'm applying to jobs of all different titles, from working for the resorts on the Strip to I applied to a cybersecurity company. I'm probably going to apply to a school because of my teaching background, security, etc. Whoever will take me.
Yeah. Well, it sounds like you have some options.
Yeah. And I want to find something I'm passionate about. I'm looking for a career at this point. I'm not.
Yeah, for sure.
I'm not in high school anymore. I want to find something that's a forever job.
For sure. And sometimes that takes time, actually.
It does. So until then, I'm fighting the battles, but I'm confident I'll find something.
Yeah, something will pop up.
Definitely. It always does.
How long have you been there now? I forget.
So I moved here mid-December, December 14th to be exact. So about
right.
2 months.
That's right.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, 2 months. The first month was like vacation. It was, I'm in a brand new spot. I have no responsibilities. This is amazing.
Yeah.
The second month, this past month, has been a lot more stressful.
Yeah.
Because reality is setting in. I'm getting bored. I'm getting antsy. I want things to be more routine and reliable.
Yep.
So I'm working to get in towards that point. But for the time being, I'm getting there.
Okay. Okay. Like I said, I'm just curious, and I'm sure, the listeners want to know how you're doing. It's a big move. Like that's a big step for you. You know what I mean? In your life, in your life trajectory. Like,
yeah, it's been major, but I don't regret it.
No.
It's hard and it's going to continue to be a challenge for a while, but I do have really good friends that are checking in on me. I mean, even my landlord from New York, when I had my own apartment up there, he's an overlander guy. And so in New York, he moved to Arizona, I want to say 6-7 months back, maybe, from New York. So he went through exactly what I'm going through. So he's been checking in on me. I have my RAV4 people here. I have my family. My family's been visiting.
Yeah.
They're coming back next month. Again, they're visiting a little too much, if you ask me. But, I have a really, really good support system. So I'm grateful.
You guys can't come to Nevada.
Exactly.
Right? I mean,
yeah, you can't come to, with all the alien invasions, it's not safe. Sorry.
It's not
Don't
safe.
come towards Area 51.
I
Don't do it.
I don't want you to get abducted to the mothership and
exactly.
I'm
just looking out for them.
I'm protecting you. I'm protecting you.
Exactly. And if you do come, make sure you're wearing a tinfoil hat.
Yes, please, because Area 51 is right there.
It's right. It's no joke. That's what I'm trying to tell them. It's not working, but we're getting there.
So I take it you have moved on from ghosts now to UFOs?
From what was that?
From ghosts to UFOs?
All of the above.
Yeah.
I am such a hobbyist conspirer where I love learning about them. Granted, I don't know what to believe. No one knows what to believe.
Nobody, yeah.
But the idea of them are so much fun that you just want to talk about it and learn more, you know?
Yeah. So a hobbyist conspirator. So in other words, conspiracy theories are your hobby. Is that kind of what you were saying? Like,
Yeah, in
Yeah.
a sense, where if I'm bored, I will spiral down the rabbit hole of being like, oh, what were these 3-4 objects shot down around the US and Canada, you know?
yeah,
And it's like, is this technology? Is this aliens? We're not going to know,
yeah,
you know? But it's fun to theorize, you know?
totally. Are you
Yeah.
are you a fan of Joe Rogan?
I actually don't listen to him.
Oh,
I've been told to so many times, but I haven't gotten to it yet.
only because Joe Rogan is a big, I'm sure you've heard, he's a big UFO, like he loves the whole UFO thing. You know what I mean? And so, and he has really cool people on to talk about that kind of shit sometimes. That's why I
Right.
ask. Yeah.
Yeah, no, honestly, I've had people send me links to it. I just don't click on them. I am so bad. I'm like, oh yeah, I'll listen to it for sure. And then it just goes away.
I love Joe Rogan. Like I
Yeah.
was having a conversation with someone the other day, and I was like, thank you, Joe. Just thank you, because he shares so many different perspectives and it's just like, thank you. And I don't understand why people would hate like anything about that. It's like, dude, open your mind, like all of this.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, every time, if it's not some comedian who's making me laugh, then he's got some fucking scientist on there who's talking some crazy shit I don't understand, but I like to know more about, you know?
Right.
I mean, it's so, he's just everywhere. And that's what I
Yeah.
love. Yeah.
Yeah, what I've noticed with Joe Rogan is either you love him or you hate him.
Yeah.
There's no in between with people.
Isn't
you
that-
know, it's crazy.
Isn't that weird?
Yeah, it's like you listen to one episode and that's it. That's make or break. You're either going to listen to 10 more or none ever again.
Yeah. I'm a fan. I'm a big fan.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll have to check that out. I've been pushing it off.
Yeah. Again, if you, I'm sure you've had some links or whatever, like you said, but he's talked to some UFO people that are really cool. You know, like some of those like the Navy pilots who have seen the crazy shit out there on their radars and stuff, and you're like listening to them talk, you're like, what the what?
Right. I mean, how are you going to argue with people who have firsthand experiences?
Yeah, what the fuck? That's the only what the fuck.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I've heard that from obviously the people about Joe Rogan, but I've heard other people's experiences just being out in the woods with like the supernatural out here.
Oh yeah.
You know, all of the Native American history and all of that.
Oh yeah.
Oh, the folklore. That stuff is terrifying.
Oh yeah.
So if I start listening to those podcasts, I'm gonna have to look into all of it. So I don't know if I'm ready to jump into that
Okay,
yet.
I see what you're saying.
Yeah, it's not just aliens, it's all of the supernatural.
My mom tells me about Uncle Bob. I think it's Uncle Bob, her uncle, and he was one of those kind of curious people, and I guess was looking into all kinds of stuff. And my mom told me kind of like maybe a decade ago when I really started to kind of like open my eyes and start to kind of see the fucking Matrix or whatever. And my mom was like, you know, Uncle Bob, he was big on this kind of stuff. And I go, yeah. And he said one day to her, I guess she asked him some question, and Uncle Bob was like, you know what? I stopped. He's like, because I got to a point where I didn't want to look any further down the rabbit hole because I was afraid I might lose my mind. And so I just, you know what? I'm just going to live my life. And I thought,
Yeah, no, that totally makes sense because once you find enough to back the idea up, it becomes real.
yes,
And that's a terrifying thought.
yes.
So I totally understand that.
And I find that I found that, so 10 years ago, you know, I wasn't doing like the career thing and a kid and just like living my life, you know, that kind of stuff. I had way more time on my hands to look at some of this stuff. And I remember talking to my mom and her friends about some of this stuff, and they're all they work for aerospace, you know what I mean? So they're in the thick of it. And I just remember them being like, they couldn't see it or didn't want to, didn't have the mental bandwidth to accept. They were like, no, just no.
Right,
You know?
right.
And I find that now that I'm a much busier, you know what I mean? Like living the American adult life, I don't have time. I'm like, yeah, whatever. Yeah, I know it's there.
Right. Right.
I can't because if I do that, then I won't. Yeah.
Won't do anything else.
I want to go down that hole. Yeah, forget about it.
Yeah, no, it's a deep, dark spiral. It's entertaining when you have nothing else going on.
Yeah, for sure.
But you have to be careful.
Yeah.
Yeah, when I was in college, I used to get really bored in class. And at one point in time, I was just so over sitting in class that I actually made a little folder on my desktop of just conspiracy theories. Because instead of listening to my professor, I was just Googling all of these different things that were going on. It was the time of coronavirus when it first started.
Yeah.
And so there were the conspiracy theories of that and the riots and all of the stuff covering the bigger issues, etc.
Yeah.
And so I was just piecing it all together on my computer, and then I caught myself. I'm like, what am I doing? There is no proof to back any of this up. And here I am, forfeiting my education for this craziness. It was insane.
Forfeiting.
I was really just opting out of real life, and I was like, oh, this was a lot more entertaining.
Yeah, what? Yeah,
it was a problem.
sitting in fucking college algebra, like, UFOs, please, UFOs.
Exactly.
What's the? Yeah, I'm trying to figure out the trajectory of this UFO. How do we do that? Like, how does this?
Exactly. Like, let's make this more real life.
Yeah, how does this geometry work for the UFO stuff? I don't know. Help me out here.
Right. You think I'm going to be doing my taxes and need to find X? No.
No.
Yeah, so that was a wild time. That's when I started to realize I should tone it down a little bit.
Yeah, you got to kind of step back and just.
Yeah, step back into reality.
Yeah, we're here now. This is it. You know what? I'm gonna go find a trail instead.
Exactly. I'm just gonna go sit out in the woods by myself and then think about it.
Mm-hmm.
Where I can't put anyone else in danger.
Why am I Googling what these people experience when I can go out there and see the UFOs for myself and make my own determination?
No, for sure. Actually, yesterday I went out to one of my spots to sit at, and I stopped at the gas station first to grab a drink. And this spot was on the opposite side of town from the Air Force Base, but there was a bunch of military people there. And so my brain instantly was like, oh, there's an alien loose. They're going to chase it down. And I was like, no. That's not real life. Hold on.
What was that movie with the... What was that movie? Paul.
Oh, I'm not familiar.
Oh, I'm pretty sure it was like Seth Rogen and somebody else, and they're like these two alien dudes, and like, we're going to Area 51, yeah, and they fucking go on a stoner trip to Area 51, and they pick up an alien, and the alien's name is Paul, and he escaped from I think it's called Paul.
That's hilarious.
Yeah.
That's exactly what I want to happen. I picked up the dogs. I feel like level 2 is picking up an alien.
Picking up an alien that escaped from Area 51. Totally.
That's exactly what I'm saying.
Totally.
Oh my gosh. People are going to listen to this and think that we are absolutely crazy.
And we are, though, but we kind of are.
Yeah.
I mean, I fully accept the fact that I'm a total nerd and psycho.
Yeah.
Not psycho.
I'm working on the acceptance part.
Yeah. I've been called, what was it? Somebody called me, he said, dude, you're psychotic. And this was back like when I was talking about and my Facebook, I was like, if you saw my Facebook from 10 years ago, you'd be like, yeah, that motherfucker's crazy.
Yeah.
But the question that he asked me was, he was like, do you really believe that there's an evil cabal that's out to fucking, that an evil cabal? And my answer to that question was, yes. Yes. I mean, it's the oldest story known to man, right? It's good versus evil. Do I think that there are there are rich people at the top trying to fucking control the world? Yes.
Yeah.
Duh.
Absolutely.
You think that? Yeah. And I'm like, he's calling me, he's saying I'm psychotic. I'm like, dude, you think there's not, bro? Like, come on.
Right. You think everyone's out here just doing the best they can for the good of humanity? Really?
No, these motherfuckers are addicted to power. Of course.
Yeah, the idea that everyone is doing their best for the well-being of everyone, that is a crazier thought.
Right. I mean, just admit in your personal lives the time that we all want something, right?
Exactly.
Whatever that thing is that we want, and sometimes we'll do extraordinary things to get that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and some people will go to very extreme measures for it.
Exactly.
Yes.
Yeah, totally. It's like, yeah. back back to Toyota life. Let's get back
Right.
to just full circle
See?
it back.
It's the rabbit hole. I'm telling you.
Good, here we go. And the next episode of Yotas Yotas Yotas, we dive into conspiracy theories.
Exactly. See, we should just have a whole episode for that.
We're gonna start a new podcast.
I'm in.
Okay. Oh, so
Yeah.
you started a new Instagram.
I did. So I used to post semi-personal things on my RAV4 account.
Yeah.
Just whatever was happening in my world. But I started to realize, people aren't following my car account for my personal life. And that's okay. Everyone has their niche,
Yep.
whatever. So I took it upon myself to make a separate Instagram for the people who are interested in my personal life, to kind of create that divide and keep my car page more professional. And then my personal one kind of, mind of Linds.
Yeah.
Because I feel like I do a lot of interesting things and I like to share that with people.
Yeah.
But I don't want to interfere with the people who just want to see cool car stuff,
Right.
trailing, builds, mods, and I shouldn't have to make people choose. Do I want to follow this person's car and then be annoyed by, whatever Dutch bros she got that day? They don't care.
Right.
So I wanted to make it kind of an option. And the second reason I did it was because I would like to eventually monetize my Instagram account, once you hit that 10K mark and go from there. So the second Instagram account, I'm hoping will grow enough to kind of supplement followers and kind of pass followers back and forth between the two accounts.
Right.
So I'm hoping people are interested enough in one account to follow the second and vice versa.
Okay.
So it's kind of like a quote unquote business move
Yeah.
per se. But my second account, my new account, is very lax.
It's really interesting that we live in a world where that's a business move nowadays.
Right.
Isn't
right.
it like-
It's cool though.
Yeah, I totally agree. Like people grow up like I'm going to be a YouTuber when I grow up. Oh, Roger that. That you can totally you can do that.
Yeah. There's so much money on YouTube. Everyone keeps telling me to make a YouTube channel. I don't know what I would talk about on there, but it's been in my brain. Someone told me to vlog my trails. I don't think you guys want me to vlog my trails. My trails are a lot of swearing and panic attacks because my car's going to fall apart.
Yeah.
So I don't know if I need to document that in a video, but we'll see.
I will say this though to you, just because I feel like it's a Toyota.
It is a Toyota, but it's also a RAV4.
But
I love my RAV4. It's just not that capable.
I think it'll hold together way more than you think it will.
Yeah. I think my biggest piece of anxiety when I'm on the trail is listening to my tent rattle, because it feels like, my undercarriage is going to fall off at any moment, but it's really just my tent.
Tent rattling. Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, have you looked into are there any hardware upgrades that you could do perhaps? Because I know sometimes that happens. People make these tents and then the hardware just doesn't kind of hold up to the abuse that we give them.
I could definitely look into it. I haven't yet because it's not that big of an issue.
Yeah.
But,
It's
would be nice to not hear it every time I hit a bump.
Yeah. It's something to think about. And the reason I mention it is because that actually happened to my friend on the trail. His fucking rooftop tent started sliding off. And we were
wow.
Oh shit. I was like, dude, stop. What's going on? Dude, your tent is moving. And we found that the hardware that mounts the tent to the mounting bracket broke. The little screw, the bolts in there broke. And so, we had to put a ratchet strap over it. And so he just upgraded the hardware, went to Home Depot or whatever and got the grade 8 stuff and replaced it. And when he did that, I did the same thing to mine. I was like, okay, let me just make sure. And his tent was twice the price of mine. But when it comes to that, it's like, well, they're all getting the hardware from the same place,
Yeah. Oh, totally.
And so that was just something to think about, if it's making a lot of noise.
Yeah, mine's not so much the mounting. Mine's the metal inside of the case because it's a hard shell.
Right.
And the mattress folds in half. So that means the ladder inside of it, the ladder doesn't detach. that's what's bouncing up and down.
Oh, okay.
The mounting brackets themselves are really cool. They're pretty, I think they're unique for rooftop tents. I haven't done too much research on the mounting brackets, but they're feet that kind of clamp onto the Prinsu bar.
Right.
And then the bolt is what tightens them, but you can't get to the bolt without the pole. I have like a 3-foot long pole with the bit on the end of it. So that's how you get to tighten and loosen it. So it's a security feature as well.
Okay.
But ultimately it provides that it doesn't slide.
Yeah.
But my biggest mistake was I didn't put the what is it, like a thread lock? What is that called?
Yeah, blue.
Yeah, I didn't put that
Loctite.
on the bolts when I put it on.
Yeah.
Loctite. Yeah, I didn't put that on, and I definitely should have.
Yeah, my buddies, they snapped right in the middle. It was pretty wild.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah, it was pretty wild. But then again, like, I mean, we beat the shit out of our cars, you know. It doesn't
Right.
Those vibrations, you know, that they work their way into everything. Like,
Oh yeah. Yeah. You're nothing safe.
nothing safe. Except the engine. There's fucking thing won't die.
True. You can't kill the engine, but everything else might fall off at
Might
some
fall
point.
off at some point. Well, Linds, it's been great talking to you. Thanks for joining me again and catching up. And I look
Yeah, same here.
I know we're all looking forward to more adventures and more trails. Do you want to shout out your other Instagram?
Yeah. So my other Instagram is Mind of Linds. No underscores, nothing. But if you guys want to follow it and see what I do in my day-to-day life, it's kind of just a big pile of unemployed new kid on the block,
Yeah.
craziness. So
Yeah.
feel free,
Yeah, the funny thing is that I followed you on that account with my personal one and not the Yotas one. I was like, oh, maybe I did follow you with Yotas as well. I can't recall, but I do. I have the same thing. I have one for the Yotas thing, and then I have one that's my own, and I followed the Mind of Linds with my own.
Yeah, I like that it's a more personal platform.
Yeah.
I definitely talk to people a lot more on the Mind of Linds than I do on Rav4 Blondie, because my thought process is I want to keep my DMs on Rav4 Blondie to be more car centered. I want people to be asking about mods. I want to be able to ask people about mods from it and so on. Whereas the Mind of Linds, if they want to know whatever else someone might want to know about my life, that's the place to do it. That's the place where I'll joke around with people and talk conspiracy theories and things like that. Create that separation.
For sure. Or talk about holes in the wall.
Exactly. Talk about holes in the wall when you drill and try to mount a TV without a stud.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if you know that I was DMing you from my other account. I'll let you know now that was me.
Oh, that's hilarious.
Yeah.
I actually didn't even catch on to that. So that's so funny.
Yeah, I was messaging you back and forth I was the one that told you about the with the drill bit and drill all the little holes in the fucking.
Oh yeah, that was the worst advice ever.
Gee, thanks.
To look at a wall and drill little holes in a straight line until you find a stud?
Yeah.
Absolutely not.
So if I'm gonna when we get off here, I'm gonna send you a picture of my wall that's behind the monitor that I use to do my computer, my little studio monitor, and you can see.
Yeah.
I'll show you the holes.
Okay.
That's how I found the stud.
Your poor wall.
Yeah, it works though. It does. One of the problems is I forgot to mention was if there's insulation in the wall, when you drill the hole and you pop the drill bit out, it pulls a little fuzziness. So
yeah.
Yeah.
So then everything's itchy.
Yeah. I mean, it was if you have the drill bit and you don't have like a stud finder, then this is the way you can do it. Tap on the wall until you hear it and then use the drill bit to find the middle of the stud.
Yeah, I'm gonna let you continue to do that.
Okay.
But granted, yours worked better than mine did. Now I have big holes in my wall.
Now
you have a mounted monitor.
Yep,
So
yep, it's mounted. But the other part of that that I found was really brilliant was something that I learned from somebody was if you take an envelope, open it, and tape it to the wall underneath where you're going to drill, it catches all the little dust particles so that you don't have a big fluffy white pile on the floor. And it's like, that's fucking brilliant.
that is brilliant.
Yeah.
Yeah, my pro tip is the painter's tape. If you're hanging something with more than one hole that has to be level, put painter's tape on the object, mark the holes where you need them to be, and then move the tape to the wall, level the tape, and then drill right through the tape.
Ooh.
That's my pro tip.
Ooh.
It worked so well.
I like that.
Yep.
I'm hanging on to that one.
Sometimes suggestions are like the 5-minute crafts where they're really terrifying.
Yeah.
Some people have it going on though.
Yeah.
So always take it with a grain of salt.
Some people are, just fuck around and find out. See if it works for you.
Exactly. The more you fuck around, the more you find out.
And if you never fuck around, you're never going to find out.
Exactly. And who wants to live like that?
Nope. I'm fucking around all the time.
Exactly.
Constantly.
Exactly.
Thanks again for coming on, and let's chat for 1 minute after.
All right. Thanks for having me on.
All right. See ya.
All right. Bye.